Okay, so we're on our way now to a fabric store because I want to make some curtains for under my kitchen cabinets. And I did bring some fabric, but I wanted to see what else I could find, and it's been so hard for me to track something down. Luckily, my friend Wendy told me about this place, and it's right here in Lourdes, and it's called Depositos de Tales. And when I was looking for fabric store and I did a translation and put that in, I could not find it. So this was great insider information. So you're heading for a road trip right now to a fabric store. Okay, so I've just arrived back from the fabric store. It's called Deposito de Tales, and I'll show you what I got. I'm just looking for some fabric to fill in the space in my cupboards where I took the doors off the bottom. I just want to Velcro some curtains there. I like this fabric, but they only had 1 yard, so I don't know if I can make it work with this. Originally, when I didn't think I could find fabric, I was just going to use the top bed sheet of my kids' beds because they don't use the top sheets. And when we bought the sheets, of course, they come with the top sheet. I just left the top sheet in the package. It's brand new. And of course, there's a lot of fabric there. I got 3 of them. So I could still use that, but this seemed to drape better, this fabric. It's not a whole cotton blend. It's a mix. But I'll show you what I got. So here is the store, and that's the little bag they gave me. That is their phone number if you want to try calling them up and ask some questions in Spanish. Nobody there spoke English. They also have a Facebook page and their website. Actually, I see right on the receipt it says I have a wool fabric. So that's why it drapes so nicely. And it was only 1 yard and it was $3.95 a yard. And as you can see, it's a very dark blue color. This is what I was looking for because I'm doing blue in my kitchen. They had a gingham, but it wasn't the right shade of blue, and it also was not cotton. It was more for a dress, basically. I don't know what blend it was, but this is nice. It's got a bit of a sheen to it. There's 1 yard, and I don't know if it's enough. I'll have to measure it out and come up with my pattern, and we'll see. If we don't have enough, I will definitely use this in some clothing because it's very pretty. And again, $3.95 a yard, and has a nice salvage. Make a beautiful skirt actually for my daughter. Now that I think about it, maybe I should make a skirt with it instead. Yeah, it says lamina wool. That's what she'd written on the receipt. So this is how it worked. I don't mind the mess behind me. Much like the paint store, I picked up the fabric. I went to the cutting table. She cut the fabric. She wrote on a receipt and asked for my name, and she gave me half of that receipt. I went to the cash and paid for it. And then, of course, the fabric's not at the cash. I said, "Donde está?" And so she kind of pointed towards the middle of the store, which they have these a little booth there. I don't know if I caught it in the video. There's a booth there with all these divided windows kind of thing and have numbers on them. And the other half of my receipt was there with the bag with the fabric in it. So then she took her receipts that she hand wrote and gave me the printed cash register receipt with the fabric. And then I walked out. So that's how it works. So again, like the paint store, you pick it out, then you go pay for it, and then you come back and get it. It's just one of those things. Again, in Canada, they cut it for you. They give you the receipt with it, and then you walk around the store with it, picking out other things. And then you get to the cash, and you put it all in the cash, and you pay for it all at the same time. It does not work like that here. But it's just one of those things, right? I imagine that there was theft before. People got fabric cut and walked out the door without paying for it. I understand that. Okay, to be honest, it's like 3 months or so since I gone to the fabric store, and I still have done nothing. So I decided I was going to use the sheets I talked about. Like I said, I have 3 of these top sheets. I only really need 1, but I think that's just better. I'd rather leave that wool for something more important than curtains that are probably going to get splashed with grease or something. But I do want this covered up because it's so nasty looking at that gas tank. So of course, first thing you do is take some measurements with the width and the length. And so I just decided I get that bed sheet out, and I would use the top part of the sheet that's already hemmed with a nice wide hem as the bottom of the curtain. Now, as I measure it out, I realize I'd like to have them a little bit gathered, so I could definitely not get 2 of them out of this twin size bed sheet. So I will need to cut more out of this and make my own nice wide hem at the end for the second one. But the first one, I'm just going to measure out, and we'll pin my measured lines across it and put some chalk on it, and then just cut it. Easy peasy. I have to say that working with the fan on in the room made it a bit more challenging for this fabric. You'll see it randomly just billow up every now and again because there's a fan under my desk, and as it circles around, it lifts up the fabric. It's hilarious. But unless you want to have the AC on all the time, you need to put up with the fan. So that's one of those things about making it in El Salvador, is that you need to be able to put up with a few different things. Also, it was pretty windy coming from the window as well. And one of the things you'll see me do is I put my ruler on the fabric. We're like, oh my gosh, it's so dusty. And it really is, you leave the windows open here, you get a lot of dust here. I'm wiping it off so I can use it. That happens a lot around here. And I brought a lot of the stuff. I brought the chalk, I brought the ruler, I brought a lot of stuff from Canada, a lot of my craft supplies. So I'm not sure how to get all these things here. I'm sure you can get most of them, but I'm just not positive. I am sure that because they have a lot of factories here, they must have all these things somewhere. Like I brought these really good scissors from Canada. These are my fabric scissors, which I stash away in a container, in a cupboard, in my office, so nobody ever mistakes my fabric scissors for anything that they are allowed to use, because they certainly are not. But I have a whole bunch of different type of like clippers and snippers and ones that are spring loaded because I used to make quilts, rag quilts, and you need to snip the edges of them like a million times. So you really want like something spring loaded. So I ordered that when I was making that quilt because it was hard on the hands. Here I am doing my routine of cleaning the sewing machine before I start, and then also putting in a new needle, which did not work out well for me. I don't know what was wrong with those needles, but I was not able to use my automatic needle threader to thread them. So I ended up replacing it back with my other one, and all is well. To do so, this is definitely a routine you want to get into because having a clean machine is what makes the whole project work so much better, no matter what country you live in. Yeah, my machine has problems every now and again. It starts out in reverse. So after battling it a few times and talking to ChatGPT, I finally got the damn thing to go in the right direction. It's not the reverse button that's stuck. I don't know what's going on, but so getting back to the curtains, I've put a wide gathering stitch in, and I'm just pulling on one of the threads and sliding all the fabric across, and then I'll have to measure it like 1,000 times to make sure I got the right length for the casing I'm going to make. I guess it's not technically a casing, but it's a band at the top of the curtains that'll cover the gathers, and the Velcro will be attached to that. And I had a mix mash of Velcro there. I had to actually put white on one and black on another, but I need the sticky side to stick to the cupboard. I want that to be the hook side, and with the fuzzy side on the curtain so that when I wash it, it doesn't hook all the stuff in the washing machine. So I've decided on a band of 3 inches, and now I'm going to press it over each side and then down the middle so it could receive my gathered curtain. I did both of them at the same time so I wouldn't have to keep the iron on for any longer. In a hot country, you don't want to have any hot appliances on for any longer than they're needed. You know, there's extra heat you don't need. And now that my top piece is all done and pressed, I'm going to pin my gathered curtain into it. And then this way I can also measure how well the gathers are, if I need to extend it, like pull it a little bit more if I got too little, or bring it in more if I have too much. So I'm just going to put 1,000 pins in here to make sure it stays put. I use white thread for my gathering stitch because it's easy to spot on the fabric, but of course I don't want that on the outside where you're going to see it. So I picked a matching color, and now I'm going to sew in that top piece over the gathers. This is always very tricky because you can easily miss the back, which I did a couple of times, and you have to resew it. So now I'm going to pin on the Velcro so that it stays put. I'm actually going to stitch very close to the top and catch the top of the Velcro, and then I'm going to restitch over the stitches I already put in to put the top on so that it's not just an extra line of stitches through the middle of that piece. And of course you're going to want to trim all your loose end threads, even the stuff that start raveling from the fabric itself, and of course all your threads you're stitching with. See how nice it turned out? Now I just have to make another one. Now here they are both installed. My Velcro is a bit wide for the cupboard itself. I think the cupboard may only be a 1/2 inch thick. So I did trim it off because I didn't want the sticky part to be exposed on the back where it wasn't covering the cupboard. So I just trimmed off a little bit to make sure it fit perfectly. What do you think? That's how we make it in El Salvador.
Smash that right